Tom, two resignations of an ethics advisor in such a short space of time. Quite a damning indictment, is it not, of the Prime Minister?
It's a tricky situation, certainly, especially as after Sir Alex Allen resigned over, if you remember, the Priti Patel report, where the Home Secretary was accused of bullying. The Prime Minister said he wanted to stick with Prit rather than removing her as Home Secretary at that time. And over that affair, Sir Alex Allen stood down. It took several months to find Lord Geidt. Lord Geidt is a well-respected individual. He's been at the top of British society for a long time. He's worked at the Palace. He's a member of the House of Lords. To coax him into the role, Downing Street expended a lot of energy, and it took about 5 months to finally get him there by April 2021. Well, just over a year after his appointment, he's out. Although it seems shocking, to many people this has not come as a particular surprise. The idea that Lord Geidt was flirting with resignation has been around for quite some time. There's been several briefing notes about it, and indeed, over the last few months, several points where he was considering stepping down. Even before Partygate, Lord Geidt put out feelers in terms of standing down over the curtains of Downing Street, if we remember all the way back to that last summer.
That was the renovation.
This is the renovation.
The expensive interior design work by apparently Boris Johnson's wife.
Exactly, and there were questions over the funding of it and the loans and exactly where the cash was coming from and how it was declared. That was a situation where Lord Geidt almost resigned but didn't, and then, of course, over Partygate, several instances of potentially resigning and then not. Well, strangely, it was this week, a week where there hasn't been any new news that has broken out. However, Lord Geidt did appear before a Commons committee, the Constitutional Affairs Committee, just a few days ago, and potentially that's something that might have pushed him over the edge. Although really interesting in this entire affair is that ordinarily when there's a resignation of a senior advisor or indeed a minister, there's what's called an exchange of letters. A letter is published, a resignation letter, alongside an acceptance letter from the Prime Minister. We don't have these letters in this case. We only have one short statement from Lord Geidt. It's likely these letters have been written, but they haven't been made public.
And is that unprecedented?
That is not, to my knowledge, something that has happened. That is not, to my knowledge, something that's happened in this Parliament. It's not something that happened in the previous Parliament. Now, it may be this might have happened back in the 80s, I'm not sure. But this is certainly unusual.
And what is that indicative of for you?
Well, potentially, it's obscuring a reasoning behind this resignation. There are a lot of questions to ask exactly over what led to this particular resignation, because Lord Geidt hasn't specified one in the very short statement that he published. But the Downing Street statement talks about asking Lord Geidt in the last few days for advice over an area of national importance that previously had a cross-party agreement. And they're very sort of obfuscatory over what this particular request for advice was. So potentially that's something to do with it. But frankly, until these letters get leaked, and there's a widespread expectation that they may well get leaked over the next few days, but until and unless that happens, we're a bit in the dark.